Good evening and welcome to the Village Board meeting for the Village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, December 14. If you are watching live on Monday, December 14, we encourage you to call in if you have comments or questions. Our call-in number is 769-1677. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 28 at 8 p.m. With a work session at 7 p.m. A couple of announcements to make. First and foremost, as I think almost everybody is aware, we had a major water main break on Sunday night down on Marble Avenue near the new Henkel facility at the intersection with Castleton Street. The result of that is that the road was very substantially damaged. A huge hole emerged as the water was running out of the pipe, and we lost water pressure in many areas of the village, which is why lots of people that night and the next morning woke up and thought perhaps something was wrong at their house. In fact, we were grappling with a huge water main break. Kudos go to Jeff Econom and to all of the folks in the Pleasantville Water Department and in DPW in general, as well as a number of outside contractors who came in a pinch and assisted us. By late Sunday night, the leak was under control, and on Monday, the hole had been expanded to get rid of the macadam that had been undermined. New patch was created, new pipe brought in, new valves put in, and by Wednesday around a little past noon, Marble Avenue was reopened. So appreciate everybody's patience during that process, but want to remind everybody that we have a pretty darn good team of people who got up in the middle of the night to solve what was a quickly emerging crisis problem with our water system. So pretty impressive work. Not a lot of sleep on the part of all those people for several days, and it is very much appreciated. So shout out to Jeff Econom and to John Lynch and to everybody in the water department for a job well done serving the residents of the village of Pleasantville. By way of background, our water mains throughout the village are of varying ages, although the village has been quite proactive in relining them in an effort to extend their life. What often happens, and may have been a case in this circumstance, is that you get a slow leak that you're unaware of deep underground. Eventually it starts to undermine the earth around the pipe, and before too long the pipe is no longer properly supported. If it sags and cracks, then you end up with a huge gusher, and that was what we ended up with here. Anything to add to that story, Patty?
No, that really is it. I remain very impressed with how efficient our Public Works Department is, from Jeff on down to the guys in every division. They did a really good job, and I think that they feel confident as well as I do that the system is in very good shape. It's just on occasion these things happen, and we were able to work through it in a good weather condition. We were very happy that everything seemed to have gone our way, and we were able to come out of this pretty well.
A number of people asked me about the boil water alert. There was a boil water alert for a small number of properties, fewer than 30 properties that were south of the break, but no boil water alert required elsewhere, and that's because the water department was able to maintain positive pressure in the system almost everywhere except in a small area of the system south of the break. And when you maintain positive pressure, it means that there is no risk of contaminants being sucked back into the system. In the area of the break, you have some risk that contaminants might have gotten into the system. And so for several days, we had a boil water alert, and there is a mechanism of drawing water samples on a daily basis, sending them to the county labs, and making sure that all is well before the boil water alert is lifted, which was the case a couple of days later. So just remind everybody that there are an awful lot of things that have to happen right in order to have drinkable water come out of the faucet in your house. And obviously none of us think about that most of the time, but on a night like that, it reminds you that there are an awful lot of cogs in this system and an awful lot of people working pretty hard to make sure that system works. And our water is supplied through the New York City reservoir system. It comes through a filtration plant in Millwood that we are joint owners of with the town of Newcastle. It makes its way up to the Pleasantville water tanks, which are on a hill high above the pool, and it is those water tanks that maintain pressure in our whole system and also the supply of water. When those tanks get too low in a circumstance like we have a major water main break, pressure drops, and that's when you turn on the water and find that it's not coming out as fast as usual or not at all. So once we capped the leak and pressure was restored, most of the village was back in business. So crazy couple of days, however, for the village of Pleasantville. So I would like to also send a shout out of thanks to the Chamber of Commerce. Has done a great job in the last several weeks with holiday activities. There was a holiday open house this weekend on Saturday, ice carving in Jackson Alley, and lots of activities in many of the stores downtown. Carolers from the high school going around, an annual event that draws attention to the many things you can attend to on your holiday shopping list in downtown Pleasantville, New York, which reminds me to remind you to tune into PCTV, either on television at Cablevision or Verizon, or at PCTV76.org, where you can pick up on demand the annual PCTV holiday Chamber of Commerce interview series that highlights all the many things you can buy in the village of Pleasantville and draws your attention to some of the sales and activities and special programs and services and merchandise available downtown Pleasantville. So it's a fun and amusing thing. Shout out to some of the interviewers, Bill Flukes, chief among them, Saul Skolnick, I know, did some interviews. A great service that PCTV and the Chamber of Commerce provide. So take a look at that. Anybody else have announcements to make? Our farm market has moved back inside and is up and running at the Pleasantville Middle School every Saturday morning. So after 1 week off, farm market back up and running inside the Pleasantville Middle School for its winter run. So we encourage you to support all of that. And then lastly, one of the things we have on our work session agenda tonight, which is worth reminding everybody about, is that because of various regulations, we're now going to have to be much more careful about segregating leaves and other kind of yard debris, grass clippings, etc., from twigs and sticks. And we're looking, Patty, maybe you could fill people in, at establishing a schedule where the regular yard waste pickup is going to turn into an alternating pickup of those two things?
Yes, it has to. We just don't have the capacity to do them all at the same time like we used to. We have to separate from leaves all of the twigs and branches and hard brush. So we will be sending out a new calendar come the new year. On the front side will be the familiar sanitation schedule, but on the reverse will be the yard waste schedule. And it's fairly simple. I mean, on one Thursday there'll be your typical yard waste, which is grass and leaves, things that you can rake up. And on the alternate Thursday will be the brush and bramble and twigs. So that's the way we're going to have to manage it going forward.
And that's a regulatory requirement?
It is apparently a DEC requirement right now.
That's Department of Environmental Conservation.
That's correct. Department of Environmental Conservation is requiring the town of Mount Pleasant to separate these sources, these organic sources, at their composting site, because there's been a number of brush fires up there.
So then is that going to, I'm assuming it is going to impact also over the summer bagged yard waste as well. You don't want leaves bagged with twigs.
That is correct.
So when you bag your grass,
in fact,
that'll be in one bag, and if you have twigs
and
branches, that'll be in a different bag.
They won't be in bags.
Well, sometimes they're small and people put them in bags. I mean, if you have small little branches,
they can't be in bags anymore. Though.
Not at all.
No, the regulations will require they be tied, or they can be put in pails, and we'll dump them from the pails. But no bags. The only thing that can go in bags are the leaves and the grass clippings. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a change of, method, but I think once people get familiar with it,
we're going to need to put out several rounds of notifications.
We have our little
Or
OOP
no.
stickers all ready to
The
go. We've,
landscape guys too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's really who you need to get.
we get you some of those.
Will we have any kind of notice, like when they won't pick up something that they see?
We do, yeah, we do. We
Give
put
them a
this.
sign that they can hang on the.
We have little stickers. They're called OOP stickers. We check off what went wrong.
Okay.
And then you get them all the time. Yeah. And then people they look at it and okay,
All right.
All right, a couple of other points to make. Anybody who regularly drives down Washington Avenue is aware that the Toll Brothers project on Washington Avenue is making great progress. They are building retaining walls. They're moving right in with landscaping and planting trees, even as they are continuing site disturbance elsewhere.
They just came in for their permit to put the model up.
All right, and do we know the schedule for that?
Oh, it's imminent.
Yeah. So at any rate,
That's all I know.
for those who don't recall, that will be 68 townhomes that will be built on that site, and lots of people have asked me about them. I think that if you're interested in what will be built and potentially somebody interested in buying one, Toll is now marketing that on their website, and you can find information there. But certainly from the village standpoint, they have been making good progress and have been certainly fulfilling the terms of their site plan approval, and have found them to be a professional team doing a good job. Fair to say?
Yes.
In addition, as you can see, work is going on at the corner of Edgewood and Washington on a project that will be a 3-story building with offices on the first floor and I believe 16 apartments on 2 floors above. That has been proceeding a little bit in fits and starts, but the foundation pieces seem to be in place, and we're optimistic that they will keep moving ahead. They were working on some code issues having to do with modular construction, but are making progress as well. We are cautiously optimistic that 98 Washington, the long moribund project opposite the firehouse, will come back to life. It was purchased out of foreclosure by a turnaround company that has, I think, made its way now through all the approvals. Am I right about that, Patty?
Yes, they're finished with all of their planning board approvals, and I believe they're looking to sell the property.
Yeah, it had the look of that, but hopefully now with the way forward better clarified, we'll see some action on that front. And then lastly, I wanted to comment, an awful lot of people have expressed concern about the news that the Try and Buy toy store will be closing here at the end of the holiday season. That is an anchor store that has been in Pleasantville for a very, very, very long time. Certainly Barry and Linda, the owners, are anchor retailers for us, and we are sorry to see them go, and we certainly wish them well in a well-earned retirement. As a lot of you know, the owner of that property is planning to redevelop that site in what I think will be an exciting project for the downtown, a project that would incorporate the space that the Try and Buy building now occupies and the space next door between Try and Buy and the firehouse, once with an old house, now being used as a temporary parking lot. So we anticipate that in the not too distant future, they'll be before us with a proposal for a new project that would involve more retail space on the first floor than now exists, and apartments above. They haven't filed that application yet, but that's what we're anticipating. We will keep everybody up to date when it happens, but certainly want to give a heartfelt send-off to the folks at Try and Buy who have served several generations of Pleasantville's families very well, and we are hopeful that some form of a toy store may reappear in Pleasantville. That would be a great, great thing to see happen. So just a good way to close that series of things by reminding everybody that the people who operate stores downtown are supporting our tax base, and in many cases supporting all the organizations that frequently ask for assistance and contributions. A great bunch of people, so if you can find opportunities to shop local, those monies go into your community, and a decent percentage of those monies stay here. So I encourage everybody to shop, dine, explore Pleasantville. I think that's what the Chamber of Commerce says, right?
That's right.
So, all right. Lastly, in that long-winded series of announcements, I just wanted to mention that in work session, we have, I think, finalized our plan to go ahead with bids on a building that would include 4 new single-occupancy bathrooms down at Parkway Field. That will, we hope, solve a problem that has existed for a few generations, and perhaps we should, on the day that we have a ceremonial ribbon cutting on the restrooms, have a ceremonial removal of the portalets. What do you think, Patty? Can we turn that into a celebration?
I think we can tie a rocket to those porta potties and make a real celebration out of it.
So, thanks to the folks on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board who have assisted in.
You forgot to mention the
making all those plans.
concession, 4 bathrooms and a concession.
We intend to add to that
Right.
building a small room that will be with a roll-down grill and a transaction counter that will have the multiple uses to serve as a concession when stuff is being sold at a sporting event, as a registration center, as an office for whatever's going on in a given day, anticipating that will find many different uses down the road. So what we're looking towards, although not everything we wish we might have, is a substantially improved infrastructure down at Parkway Field, and that is a consummation devoutly to be wished. With that, let's go.
I just want to mention one thing. Could I go back to the
Sure.
curbside waste, because I
Absolutely.
just want to make sure there's no confusion. That
Sure.
you did give us a new color-coded description in our packets, which
Did it come
'cause
out in color, I hope?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
came in color. So I didn't want people to get confused that this is happening. You know, there's one part that needs bags, there's one part that doesn't need bags, but we're going to send you something that will be very self-explanatory.
Yes.
And it's nice you broke it down that way and color-coded it for the yard waste for dummies like me, because I can never get this stuff straight ever. And now there's even more, and it did slow
There's more.
down our leaf pickup because this was one of the requirements that we had to deal with this fall. And I know some people did complain to me about that they didn't get to me and my leaves in time, and it was a little slower, and this is why our guys had to pick through, and if somebody had a pile of leaves with some sticks in them, they had to separate them out manually. So it went a lot slower. So I just wanted, I'm sorry, I should have brought it
No,
up
thank you.
with
It
it,
really
but-
was grossly inefficient, the way we had to follow
Right, the
truck
way we
with
had to do
truck
it. We
and-
didn't
and
give people enough
separate things.
time to
We did not,
tell
but-
them that,
And
so.
we couldn't really put it upon people to have to separate once
Right.
they put it all out, so we collected everything. I mean, we were
Right.
lucky with this
Just
weather.
took us a little longer. And it is a little confusing, but we'll send you a great color-coded
Right.
explanation.
Right. However, the rule does prevail now that
Right.
you can't mix branches in with leaves, although we're past the leaf pickup.
Right,
But when you bag your leaves, branches can't be in the bags either.
that's right.
Right? So, all right. Thank you.
But
for
other yard waste could go in bags, so that's where the confusing
Right.
part's going to be.
Yeah, grass
Yes.
clippings,
Grass clippings and
vegetables,
things can go in
plants,
bags.
It's going to take
anything.
a cycle or two
Yeah.
for people to realize.
Yes.
Anything
Yes.
but,
Goes on.
Blessedly, we're going to tell you about this in the winter when presumably there's less activity on that front.
All
Certainly.
this winter.
Yeah. Deadheading your rhododendrons, I don't know, is that a winter activity? Doesn't fill up too big a
This
bag.
weekend it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
just gonna say,
My
60
crocuses
degrees.
came up. Crocuses are back.
All right, with that, let's go to our resolutions. 203, Steve.
Resolved that pre-check register dated December 14th, 2015, covering pre-check numbers 2447 through 2502 and 82084 through 82203 has been reviewed, and they are hereby approved as listed below. From the general fund, the special purpose fund, the water fund, the refuse fund, the pool fund, and the trust and agency fund, for a total of $274,014.61.
Is there a second?
Second?
Comments or questions about the check register?
I had a quick question. In here, we have a bill for Parkway lights in November, and I wasn't thinking that the lights were on past the end of October.
It's a billing cycle. I think
Okay,
they
so it's
they
for
bill through
the
the
October
4th.
period?
Yeah, they bill through the 4th of November, so we get caught with the tail end.
Got it.
But you
Just making
shouldn't see
sure.
anything going forward. Thank you. In fact, I made a big note on the NIPA bill, so Alicia, the new person in AP, knows that too.
Knows how to allocate it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. Mindy, 204.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to sign an easement agreement with Mark D'Souza, 59 Highview Terrace, to construct a retaining wall and paved area on the village public right-of-way.
Is there a second?
Second.
Patty, do you want to report the background here?
Yes, we had this application early spring of 2015 come before us. It followed one that came a year prior from the D'Alessio Belfiore household on the same street. And this is an area of the village where there's very little right-of-way that is level with the road surface, and most houses sit well below the grade of the road.
Right.
So lots of people have prepared in the public right-of-way parking areas where they park off of the road. And some of them have gotten very elaborate, with some ornamental fencing and some retaining walls and the like. This particular property has asked for permission to make permanent improvements to that portion of the right-of-way that abuts their house. And you had asked that it be referred to the Planning Commission for further scrutiny. Well, they looked at the site. They had made some recommendations that would provide for 2 spaces that are not dedicated to that particular house but are available off-street, basically, for anybody who needed to park there. And it came back to us with the Planning Commission site plan approval and recommendation. So the agreement that is in here, this license agreement, it's revocable, like all of them are that we enter
Right.
into on public property, and it would allow them to allow up to 2 cars to be parked in the public right-of-way on a permanent basis. So I think it establishes, a pretty safe condition after the Planning Commission reviewed it and made their recommendations. And at this point, we would need to enter into the homeowner so we could get a certificate of insurance that would protect us for any damage that may occur in the right-of-way. And it's a typical encroachment agreement at this point in time.
So it looks like a slightly different plan, probably because of the planning process, which I appreciate. My recollection is I see a new planting bed that I don't remember being there. Maybe it was smaller, I don't know, which is a nice addition that they'll be responsible, I'm assuming, to maintain. And the license agreement is for the improvements, that is the retaining walls and the pavement and so on, but not a license to park there exclusively. It's a public street, these are public spaces. Those spaces can be parked on by anybody.
Yes,
They're
they
not
could.
exclusive to these folks, which I think is a fair compromise, and people should know that, we don't give away public parking spaces exclusively to anybody. But on the other hand, they're going to make a fair amount of improvement. I hope it'll look nice. It should. I think the plan looks nice.
They reduced
And,
it from 3 to 2 also.
Yeah. So, all said, looks like a good plan.
So it's just worth reminding everybody, these folks live in a neighborhood where there are quite a few of these improvements that have been made. In many cases, they predate the current owner of the building, of the house. The same is true in some other neighborhoods, especially on Washington Avenue. And it's just important for everybody to realize in this day and age, we are of necessity more attentive to these issues than perhaps was the case 50 years ago. And you do not have the affirmative right to pave, alter, or create parking spaces in the public right-of-way. So at any point when you're thinking of making a change in your property, first off, you should refer to the building department to make sure that you have the required permits, and you should also refer to a survey if you have one of your property, or get one to make sure you know where the limits of your property exist. I do know this has been a source of contention with a bunch of people who have seen circumstances where others in their neighborhood already have such a thing, and they have gone ahead and paved what is actually public property, and it has created a problem, and in some cases an expensive one for everybody. So it's really, really important to recognize that overall front yard parking is not permitted in the Village of Pleasantville, with several specific exceptions in our code. And if you are having a parking problem, it's important to follow the right procedures to try to work it out, rather than end up building something that turns out not to be on your property and creates another set of problems. So, any further comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion approved. Resolution 205 has been pulled. It was an authorization to do some filming, which is now not going to happen. So 206 is now 205. Colleen.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to enter into a software service agreement with OPENGOV, Inc., 955 Charter Street, Redwood City, California, in the amount of $2,000 for financial analytical software.
Is there a second?
Second.
So, Patty, you can describe. The primary purpose of this is not so much analysis as sifting out information for public presentation.
This is so great. I'm so
It is
happy
so
you did this.
great.
I put this bug in your ear not too long ago, and
Mindy will
I'm-
never ask me for a pie chart again.
Again.
See what this will
This
do.
thing
And
is
you'll
so
never have to
great.
create a pie chart. It'll happen
That is
It
automatically.
correct.
happens for
Did
you.
you get?
All
Did
right.
you play with it? Did you see the other
Well,
sites?
yeah, I worked with
Good.
Newcastle with it.
Oh,
and-
okay.
and
Well,
yeah, so-
there are
All right,
some
so
communities.
describe it, Patty.
Yeah, it's a software service. We're not buying the software. We're buying basically access to their software, and they will manage our data. We'll upload it, and we will create what types of, I guess, user-friendly data mining we would like to see happen from it.
When you say
It
data,
will-
just to be clear, it's public data
Yes,
about
yes, yes.
our
Financial-
revenues and
our
expenses.
financial operations.
It's not
Correct.
any kind of
and
private
it could
protected
present
data.
anything from a very high level view of the budget to a very detailed view of line items on the budget. If you wanted to look at the last 5 years of overtime in a department, you can just graph that. You can pick the numbers out. You can see it in numeric form, chart form, graph form. You can compare it to other communities, because one of the things about this open source is that we're signing up and giving the rights for OPENGOV to put our data out there for other communities of similar size that may want to do analytics and compare to us. Right now I don't have many, but when I do get them, I think there'll be more people coming on board. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to present a budget with a great amount of detail, with a great amount of efficiency and certainty that the numbers are accurate, because it pulls the data right out of our financial system. And I think it'll certainly be a more polished presentation and a very good, transparent tool for the village and for users that are external to us. I really think, for the money, it's a huge bang for the buck. And it'll be $2,000 a year. I've got a 5-year lock on that rate, which I was happy to negotiate. I don't have to pay any implementation fees if we sign up now, which is good. Otherwise, it'd be a $1,000 startup fee. So they also agreed to prorate the amount on a monthly basis until June 1 because of our fiscal year starting June 1. So we'll pay monthly fee, about $166 a month until June, and then we'll have a $2,000 fee for the next fiscal year. But I also asked them to add in a clause that it's subject to annual appropriation. If you decide, you can't afford to budget it in the future, you don't have to worry about the contract. But I think you're really going to like it. And
So good.
Patty, does it link with Munis?
it does.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're not going
it
to have to
does.
sit there and code all this stuff.
Nope.
No.
It's so great. When we were at the Millwood Water Treatment Facility, and I think you were on the tour, I waited with the. Just so happened they were doing their preliminary
Oh, good.
budget
So you saw it
presentation.
there. Oh,
So I
very
sat
good.
with the controller for quite a while, and he ran me through this, and it was just the best.
I know.
I
Makes
was-
him look like a genius.
Yeah.
I know. So,
It's a great thing.
I think you'll all be very happy with it, because things that you just want to see, without going. Right now, we give you those quarterly financial reports, and I mean, there's a ton of information in them, but the presentation is what it is. It's this is just a lot easier. It's more visual, and it's certainly something that I think you'll find. You'll be referring to it a lot. I think you'll really enjoy it.
It's great. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. Joe, the former 207, now renumbered 206.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees has reviewed the minutes of the meeting held Monday, November 23rd, 2015, and they are hereby approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or corrections to the minutes? Good opportunity to remind everybody that was our annual youth recognition night, and a raft of kids came here to be honored for their service to zillions of organizations around Pleasantville. It's always a really, really satisfying night, and one of those nights you think the world is going to be okay. So, all in favor? Aye. Motion approved. That's the last of our resolution for tonight. Remind everybody that we're in the midst of the holiday season, just at the end of Hanukkah here, and Christmas Eve, 10 days away. Our next meeting is on the 28th, between Christmas and New Year's, but on behalf of all of us, we wish everybody a great holiday season and a great new year. Look forward to 2016 as a year with a lot of exciting things going on in the village of Pleasantville, and thank everybody for their interest and support. Is there a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters of real estate, police management, contract amendments, and advice of counsel regarding zoning classifications.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Good night.
See you
Go
on the 28th.
Dolphins!
Go Dolphins!
Dolphins.